Welcome back to the Wickedly Branded podcast. Today, we're going to walk through Chapter 7 of Marketing for Entrepreneurs. A quick guide to sparking your marketing. This chapter is about something I know many of you carry all alone by yourselves very quietly on a regular basis. The tension between wanting your work to grow and wanting your marketing to feel like you and not more marketing, right? You care deeply about the people that you serve and you want to be invited into their lives and you want your work to truly make a difference and have an impact. At the same time, there's a part of you that tightens when you think about selling to them. I see this all the time as part of our Brand Spark experience and our Branding Night Intensive. Founders who are brilliant inside the room with clients, they're present and insightful and generous. And then when it comes to time to write the post and invite someone to work with them, their language shifts, their tone becomes tighter, and their energy completely changes. It starts sounding like marketing instead of a conversation. And that shift can create some friction with potential clients. The brain is wired to detect incongruence. So when tone and identity feel misaligned, some alarm bells begin to ring in your target audience's head. Your audience can feel it. You feel it. And when you do, and when they do, your engagement falls, drops. So conversion lives in this place called congruence. When the language sounds like you on your very best day, people lean in because the nervous system can relax. They sense your steadiness. They sense your foundation. They sense that you're totally intentional and grounded. They sense the coherence, and that coherence helps to build trust. So let's talk about conversion for a moment. Conversion is simply movement. Movement can be a reply, a click, a booked call, a decision. Movement happens when three elements align. So clarity of transformation, so the thing that you do for them, emotional resonance, which is the connection of your story, and then that next step that feels natural. So first, the transformation, which we talked a little bit about in previous chapters. Most founders describe their services in structural terms, remember? Sessions and packages and deliverables and timelines. Structure and forms, right? But transformation is what persuades people to make the transformation. When you speak about the before and the after state of your client's lived experiences, the brain begins to simulate the change. It imagines the relief it will feel if it does the same. It imagines ease, it imagines growth. That stimulation activates a deep desire for the transformation. I remember working with a nutritionist who described her work as a personalized meal planning and coaching. I talked about her in a previous episode. It was really true and accurate and professional, but then we began naming what her clients actually feel after working with her. They feel freedom at dinner time, energy in the afternoons, confidence in social situations. The content shifted, engagement deepened, and booking increased. So the work remained the same, but the language aligned with what the living impact was, the lived impact. So the second is emotional resonance. Emotion drives decision-making more than logic ever will. Research consistently shows that emotional memory imprints more deeply than factual recall. When your content carries a story, narrative, specificity, and human detail, the brain simply encodes it differently. Think about the last post that stopped your scroll. It likely carried a lived moment, a scene, a confession, some kind of recognition. Story lowers your target audience's resistance. Specificity increases your believability, and resonance grows when your audience feels recognized by yours. So this is where narrative overreaching becomes even more powerful. When you describe the season someone is navigating, rather than the demographic box that they fit in, your message carries far more recognition. And then there's this third element, right? So we have coherence and we have the narrative, this recognition. Then there's this third element, the next step, the momentum that requires the next direction that you want the client to go, the new client to go. So I often watch founders pour their heart and all their wisdom and skills into content and then close without an invitation. The audience feels moved and then they're uncertain. The brain appreciates the clear pathways that you've provided when you offer one next step. The mental load decreases, decision fatigue reduces, and action then increases. The next step can be very simple. Send me a message, download the workbook, book a call, reply and tell me what has resonated. Direction supports the movement you want your target audience to make. Movement builds the momentum. We're always trying to reach the momentum. And all these chapters were leading to trust and momentum and visibility. It makes it easier when we have momentum. So momentum is kind of the ultimate goal. So let me share a story. Lauren, she's an artist we talk about in the book. She carried a really deep emotional intelligence and vision about what she wanted to do in her experience. And her early content centered on art workshops and retreats. Really beautiful offerings, things that would probably change people's lives, honestly. But then she began talking about what her clients experience inside of those workshops. The return to self, the permission to rest, the reconnection to the outside and nature. She began ending posts with simple invitations. Join the next retreat. Listen to the podcast. Reach out if this speaks to you. And her engagement deepened because the resonance and the direction aligned for the first time. And conversion followed. I want to name something really important here. High integrity marketing requires you to be present. When you write from your lived experience rather than some borrowed urgency, your audience feels your groundedness and your steadiness. And that steadiness creates safety for them. And that safety invites them to make a decision with you. If your content feels forced when you read it aloud, pause. If it sounds like something you would never say over coffee with a client, change it. Flow matters. Tone matters. Congruence matters. Inside of our Brand Ignite Intensive, we often rewrite one piece of content together. We slow it down, we remove any industry jargon, we anchor it in a story, and we align it with their voice. When founders hear the difference, oftentimes they decide, yes, that's it. That is it. This relief can signal to you your alignment. Is it aligned with me or is it not? Alignment supports you being consistent. That consistency that builds your reputation, and that consistency compounds, right, over time. If you want to strengthen your conversion without compromising who you are and your voice, I invite you to try this. Choose one offer, write about the lived transformation, describe one moment before, describe one moment after, and then invite one next step. Keep it deeply human with your story and keep it grounded in reality. Don't put those false urgencies of things in there and keep it true to you. Read it out loud. Does it feel like you? If you want deeper structure and prompts for this process, Chapter 7 in the revised edition of Marketing for Entrepreneurs walks you through the full exercise. And the companion workbook helps you shape conversion-focused content that still sounds like you. You can find both on Amazon or download the PDF and workbook through the link in the show notes. When you do, you'll also receive weekly insights and tips from me and podcast episode updates so that this conversation around what founders are feeling related to marketing and branding that continues for you. So next week, we're going to explore how social media can feel lighter and far more human in Chapter 8. Until then, I want you to choose what fits your life and stay with it long enough to see and watch it grow. Wow, what an incredible conversation we just had. I hope that this episode lit a little bit of a fire under you to finally bring your brand to life in a way that feels true to you. Remember, clarity is the spark, but activation is that fire and flame that keeps your message and your visuals and your strategy aligned, and the confidence that follows. So does that lovely thing called momentum that you've been waiting for. So if today's episode, if you loved it, make sure you are subscribed to the Wickedly Branded Marketing Podcast so you never miss an insight or a conversation. Until next time, dare to be wickedly branded.